Okay, we're live.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the committee, the Stage Act Committee meeting, Friday, June 11th, 10 a.m. At 111 Washington Avenue in the city of Albany. I'd like to now first take the roll call. Dave Riley.
Present.
Susan Rizzo.
Present.
Bill Reinhardt. Gary Demolowitz. And Michael McLaughlin.
Present.
We do have a quorum, so we're okay to proceed. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of our February 14th meeting? And if so, do I hear a motion to accept those minutes? Sue, thank you.
Second.
Second, Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, carried. Thank you. Let me turn it over to Kevin. We've got a couple of applications here, very interesting companies, and Kevin will kind of walk us through what we have here, and feel free to ask any questions along the way.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. The application to review today is Crane Stationery. This went through the Alliance Board 2 months ago. They were supportive of it, and that's why it came here to the Stage Grant Committee. Crane Stationery, the sixth longest continuously operated company in the United States of America. The ones before it are soaps, flowers, pencils. Thank God for Jim Beam and his bourbon. That was 4 years before Crane came along, and J.P. Morgan Chase. So Crane was founded in 1799
For Crane.
by the Crane family. Still around, living in Pittsfield, which made an extremely aggressive play to get this company to move back to Pittsfield. And they chose to stay here for workforce, and they found a nice building. They're actually backfilling one of the Plug Power buildings up in Latham. Plug Power made an announcement to consolidate all their headquarters and everything out in Vista. This created an opening in that tech park. They have moved in there, taking about 50,000 square feet. Sustainability, what are we talking about here, right? 100% cotton paper. Less than 1% of all the less than 1% of all the paper made today is 100% cotton paper. How's cotton paper kind of made? There's two ways. One is through the process of ginning cotton. Short fibers are left over. They use those in paper, or they can take 100% cotton rags, recycle them, pulverize them, and make paper that way. So this is not cutting down trees. This is, not new growth, old growth forest, that type of stuff.
Do you have any of the paper?
I do have one. I probably have a card.
The interesting thing about this is the quality of what these guys are doing is unbelievable. They're not printers. They engrave their products, and they do a very high end of the market, like Cartiers and very high end wedding invitations. And apparently they've got one of 3 of these engraving machines left in the world because it's a kind of a lost art. And they're in the process, and what we're assisting them is helping them move this out of the Mohawk Paper building. Mohawk Paper bought Crane, and when they sold to the Italian private equity firms, they didn't want the Crane anymore. So we've got a group that bought it, and but all of that, none of that is. That's an engraved process that Kevin can probably explain a little bit.
So each one of those colors is a different layer. So you go from one machine to the next, adding different colors. All hand machines. These are early 1900s machines that they're still using. It's a fine art, and they need to work with like the BOCES of the world and the high schools to teach kids about this craftsmanship, because it's a dying art. And they have some equipment. They have one piece of equipment that there's only 2 in the world. One's in America, in Latham right now. The other one's over in Europe somewhere. So again, we're not cutting down trees to make our paper. All 100% cotton. Very limited number of groups use it. As we look at their employment. They have, I think they ended up keeping about 58 of the people. Let me just get there. Yeah, I think 58 people, and then they're gonna look at another 31, 38, 43 jobs over the next 3 to 5 years. They actually estimated extremely low on that number. They think they can potentially double that with the new facility that they have. Yeah, we've been up to the crane factory up in Cohoes, and you know, it's an old mill, dark, not a lot of windows, zero natural light, old HVAC, you know, everything's just old. It's the old Mohawk paper, the South building. They moved into pretty much a state-of-the-art facility up in Latham. They, you know, high efficiency HVAC, all the creature comforts that you'd want your employees to have. Their workforce is extremely diverse. Men, women, different minority groups are represented. And Kevin and I had met with Robert a few times. One of the nicest, most professional people you'd want to meet. He's had some success in some other businesses. The reason Crane attracted him is he had a company down in Cary, North Carolina that made similar type product, just not as high end as Crane. So he does have experience in the industry. He's working on some applications for sales. He's got a little bit of money from a private equity group that he's familiar with, but has had a series of successes leading up to this purchase. So we are grateful. I don't want to speak for Kevin, but I am grateful that they're staying in town. I had gotten wind of what the package from Pittsfield looked like, and it would have been pretty much impossible for us to compete. So they found a nice building, and now my role switches from, now that this one is up in Latham, how do we backfill some of that space in Cohoes, which we're working diligently to do. So really nice company. Again, 6th oldest company in America, is now housed in Latham, New York. I have time for any questions that anybody may have.
I just have one. Is the product, when they sell it, cheaper, the same price, much more expensive?
It is significantly more expensive, and that's their hook. People want a luxury brand. They do branded paper for Cartier, Vera Wang, Vogue, and Tiffany. So if you buy something from Tiffany, you are going to get a handwritten letter from the sales associate that helped you on Crane paper. Now, if you look at this card here,
I know.
this did not pass. This did not pass because one of the tentacles on the butterfly is a little shorter than the other. This did not pass their quality control.
You got the refuse? They gave you all.
Yeah, they wouldn't give us the good stuff.
No,
Right.
well, no, they, you know.
Oh, you're right. It is, it's
Yeah.
cut off a little bit.
But that didn't pass
I don't want.
quality. Yeah, right? You're probably embarrassed you even touched this.
I'm a reuse person.
I mean, the texture's unbelievable. I love the story alone. The story alone, it's so weird just to be enthralled by it.
Well, and, you know, keep in mind.
Of this company was.
Yeah.
Crane Paper is the company that created the paper upon which US currency was printed. And they sold that off 20 years ago for some ridiculous amount of money, and kept the engraving, business themselves. So this is a real, piece of America that this company.
Yeah. And the new owner embraces that history. It's great. So what we're looking at is, they're going to spend about $600,000 retrofitting the new building, moving, new equipment. They're requesting $54,000. There is a resolution in the packet.
Updated.
Just, it didn't get in the packet for some reason.
I have a copy.
You're good,
It was
good.
in my copy that
Good
I.
job. I don't know. I noticed mine doesn't, so
Yeah.
we just printed
All right.
it out if you don't.
You pass that one down.
Yeah, if you can walk them through the
So quickly, and
What
again,
did you
you've
vote?
seen a number of these in the past. This walks through the legislative authority from the county legislature that established this program, its background, provides the summary of how the Alliance is the entity that staffs the program on behalf of the committee, and then goes through the specifics of the application that Kevin just briefed you on. And then it ultimately does two things. It authorizes, first, it makes a secret finding that this is a type 2 action, because this is actually outfitting a building inside an existing facility. There's nothing going on the outside. So you're rehabbing and reusing an existing facility in which the use is permitted by the zoning code. So it's what's called a type 2, which I'm sure you're familiar with, secret action, which means there's no environmental review required. So you make that determination, and then finally you make a determination to award the amount of, what was the number?
54,000.
50, yeah. So, that's it.
All right, is there any further, well, is there a motion to remove the resolution?
Motion.
Mike, any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have, it says the stage project approval and funding determination when we vote is today. So it says June 13th, which when the public
Yeah,
meeting was.
I think she just fixed that. This
Okay,
was
that's
the
fine.
earlier
No, no, right,
meeting
I'm
when it
just
was
saying.
rescheduled.
I just
Yes.
point little things out.
No, absolutely.
Second,
Tom, should we
Yeah.
amend the resolution to that?
Yeah, it is, and I think you did just amend it on the screen. I'm not sure which one you have in the pack and which one that we just
Oh.
handed out, so,
I don't
but
think
it should be,
there's one.
but we will make sure it's dated as of today.
Yeah.
It's gotta be dated today,
yeah, so it
yes.
wasn't changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
Yeah.
other questions or comments?
No.
Okay, then, do I hear a motion to, or do I hear approval of the resolution as amended by Controller Rizzo? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, carry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Atlas?
Yeah, so, as you may recall, we approved the company Atlas Copco out in Voorheesville. That was a while ago. And they had come to us and suggested that the project was gonna be about $40 million. They were gonna retain several employees, they were gonna add significant employees, and they were gonna add a large high bay expansion. They took their time. It was about a 3-year planning process. And when it came down to it, they started cost engineering it towards the end. As prices had gone up, 40 seemed a little high, so they did some cost engineering. They were able to bring down the total cost of the project to $32 million. So being, for good governance, making sure that we're keeping an eye on things and, paying attention to what the companies we're supporting are doing, Kevin O'Connor and I thought that because they went from a $40 million investment to a $32 million investment in the county, it needs to be stated. They expect to hit their job numbers. They have no doubt about that. The high bay expansion will still allow them to do everything they had planned to do. They just cut out some little things. And we didn't approve them specifically because they were going to put solar panels on the roof. But that's a plug and play item they can do after they prove out the high bay expansion model, right? They were going to redo the corporate offices inside. That's not going to be as fully renovated at this time. Again, once the high bay expansion, they start rolling through these large compressors that work in, carbon capture, working with plug power on some hydrants and stuff. Once they see the sales and the profitability from those, they're going to backfill a lot of this stuff. They went from, I think, 6 cranes to 3 cranes. So the capacity is still there and the job numbers are still there. But since they reduced their investment in the county, we have suggested, we'd like to make a motion, a recommendation to the committee, that we reduced their stage grant from $500,000 to $475,000. We did a similar change to their IDA incentives where we increased their pilot payment, a fixed pilot payment, by I think $11,500 a year. They were pleased with it. They understood when you change a product, things can change. So today's resolution would be accepting the change from $500,000 in stage grant to $475,000 in stage grant. If the job numbers changed, I think we would have seen a different reduction, but they have committed to the job numbers. They've actually already started hiring a lot of those. They had a groundbreaking not too long ago. We had Deputy Chairwoman Wanda Willingham attended. Some of the staff here attended. We had another board member from the IDA attend as well. And it was all about the employees and showing them that, hey, Atlas Copco's here, we're staying, send your friends and family for jobs. So,
question, so they reduced their amount from 40 million to 20 million
no, 40 million to 32 million.
to 32 million?
Yep.
And so percentage-wise, we reduced ours by 25,000. Is that about the same, or?
It's a little less, our percent drop, but they are committed to the area and they're committed to the jobs, which is truly, when we look at the economic impact statements, it's that manufacturing salaries that go back into the community 2-3 times. And that's where you see a lot of the big economic development. They're, you know, if you remember when we first talked about it, they were at risk if this project didn't happen of actually reducing workforce. So not only are we going to retain those, I think 35 jobs, but they're looking at creating a significant number. So.
Okay, so just to make sure, the things that gets changed on this draft, the grant funds requested, they asked for $1 million. We were gonna give them
We approved them for
500, now we're
500,000.
gonna make it for,
Yeah, I think later in the
For
resolution,
75.
that's
okay,
the
that's fine.
original.
No,
one.
got it. I just wanna know what the numbers changed. Yep,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
32.615 is the new total. It's reduced by 7,385.
Okay,
I rounded.
no, that's fine. You know me, I'm just. So good, I'm good.
And the project has started, and it's gonna be a great project. They had neighbors come out to their public hearing about the expansion and say, yes, please expand, you guys are great neighbors.
They are great corporate citizens of Torresville and of the town of New Scotland and of the county.
If neighbors in Louisville and Scotland are happy about it.
Yeah, right? How many times do you hear that?
Because out there,
Because they're tough.
they're very tough.
They're very tough.
Yeah, but then also there's been controversy about expansion and stuff, so if they're getting approved, that's good.
They're not known for growth out there.
No.
The problem is though, in that area, noise travels.
Yes.
Yeah, you will, buddy.
They work very well with the school district, there's good relationships, and these are good people.
Yeah.
So this resolution before you, it modifies a previous resolution, as the controller just pointed out. That first graph or the first table of data shows what the original resolution approved back in September. At that point, it was 40 million investment in the county, and the funding level recommended and approved by the committee was 500. And then the next couple of resolutions talk about the fact that they've reduced, and then the recommendation now is $475,000 of funding. It also does one other thing. It confirms your earlier determination with respect to SECRA, where at that point you adopted and the town's determination of no significant impact. The stage committee consented to them being lead agency and made the determination that you adopted. This confirms that again, that with the scope of the project now being reduced, that there still is no significant impact. So you're doing that as well, those two things. That's it.
All right, do I hear a motion to move the resolution? Dave Riley, any further discussion on the resolution? None? Okay, second?
Second.
Mike McLaughlin, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, carried unanimously. Okay, I think that's it, unless there's any other business that the group would like to discuss or bring up. Okay, then I entertain a motion to adjourn. Sue, second?
Second.
Dave, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to your weekend, folks.
Perfect.
Birthday's tomorrow?
Whose birthday? Yours?